I'm going to get right into it. So this is my random code stream. So if you're watching this morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, I've been thinking about, I just want to talk about this real quick. I've been thinking about what I'm going to be doing with streaming and videos I've been doing on YouTube. And I think I'm going to, not think I am, I know I am. I'm going to be making my free code session videos a little bit different, starting sometime in April. I'm going to be moving them being more of a structured format type of video, more educational, more, very, very focused on what they're supposed to be. I'll probably stop doing twice a week and just doing once a week on maybe Friday. I've liked doing having the edited videos, but most of my free code session stuff has been pretty much like this, where I'm just talking and doing live streaming. I just kind of edit it out and I'm just doing it on my own time. So I've kind of realized I like this and it's fun. So I'm going to change up what I'm doing with the free code session stuff. So again, that'll be probably moving just once a week on Friday. And then I'm thinking of doing this both on my typical Thursday night and then maybe Monday in the morning, and doing that twice a week. So, and we'll see, maybe I'll do something that's on a little bit better of a schedule in terms of time and what works better to get an audience. I noticed that, I really don't get a lot of people watching this, so I may change the schedule up a little bit. I don't want to interfere with the day job too much either, in terms of schedule. So we'll see how this works. I'm also going to start getting into a little bit more of the graphical side of things, just having a little bit more branding in mind and doing some stuff there. So yeah, that's about all I wanted to talk about with that. So I am getting into the streaming. I find it fun. It's kind of therapeutic in a way, even if I don't get a lot of people watching. That's fine. So, all right, let's get right into it. What do I want to talk about? Good evening, Digital Drummer. Nice to see you. Show by. Stop by, show by. This is not beer, by the way. This, again, is just root beer. I did have my birthday yesterday, so I'm taking off tomorrow, having a 3-day weekend and relaxing. And I share my birthday with my older son. So he turned 17 yesterday. And it's really weird to think of having kids that are almost legal adults. it's just like, holy crap. So yeah, so I got that going for me. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is, so I got that there and I got this here. So let's do this. Yeah, do I want to do that or do I want to do this? What looks better? Minus 17 too. Yeah. Man, they age fast, don't they? It just, and it was funny too, because, I use OneDrive for my backup and like all my photos and documents and stuff like that. And so it'd usually be like every day, hey, check your memories from, this day in the past or something. Of course, when it's my birthday, it's always pictures of like my kids as they were younger and we were celebrating the birthdays or the birthday on that day. And yeah, it's like, oh my God, when he was like 5, and then now he's 17. It's just, time goes by very, very fast. 17 and a 15-year-old. So I did have a friend from high school who he got married fairly young. I think him and his wife were not that far off in age. And as soon as she graduated from high school, they got married. And then they had kids soon afterwards. So they were young parents. They had their kids. And so that, that's the advantage of being young parents, is that you're going to be able to get your kids out of the house before you're 40 in a way. So the thing that was interesting though is, God, this must have been almost 15, 16 years ago, something like that. We get a Christmas card from them and they have a baby on the Christmas card. And we're thinking, was it one of their kids that had a kid or something? Like, it was just, it never dawned on me that they had a third. They had a whoops. So can you imagine that? You're like, you got your 2 kids, you're going to be empty nesters. The kids are going to be out of the house. And then all of a sudden you have a whoops show up and you're like, oh, I got to start all over again. Um, that is not happening with us, by the way. Trust me, that will not happen. I have my two. I'm happy with that, and we're going to move on from there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about it. The senior yearbook. Okay. So first thing I want to talk about quickly is Instant APIs. This is a project that Jeff Fritz, C# Fritz, has been working on off and on. And he actually, if you notice here, you can see that the generators, the source generator version that I created has now been merged in. That doesn't mean that is going to be the only way that you can do this instant APIs. But as I mentioned before, we both talked about this and we said we're going to have both of them here. And so as new issues come in, like if Jeff decides, hey, I want to, or somebody says, let's work on, root beer, get methods need paging, we'll put that out, or at least I, or hopefully somebody else will put that into the source generator version. Injection of business logic, mapping of data. I want to keep this parity with whatever Jeff decides to be doing with the reflection side of things. So it's it's fun to contribute to projects and help out when you can. And it was just nice to be able to do this, even if the generator approach isn't the way that it ends up being. It's kind of like, well, at least I tried. I was at The Simpsons where they have the cake. It says, at least you tried, and then they threw it away, but hopefully this doesn't get thrown away. So I'm kind of happy that Jeff took this, and I'll be keeping my eye on it and hopefully try to keep it updated as time goes on. So that's that. And the plan tonight is to work on a couple of things, maybe at least one thing and maybe two things, and then we'll just watch time. Like I said, I have off tomorrow, so I also have a dentist appointment, just a checkup, routine checkup. But it's at 7 a.m. tomorrow, so I can't stay up too late. Got to go to the dentist and have them do all then they get your teeth all clean. It's a weird feeling. I want to eat like a whole bunch of like burritos and salsa or something, just because it's too clean of a feeling, and I don't want to get rid of that. So, but anyway, so this is the first thing I'm going to be working on, and if it takes the whole time for what I want to do tonight, that's fine by me. So this is AutoDeconstruct. This is this source generator library that I've created, and I think it's I put a package up in NuGet, and I think it's like a 0.1 or 2 or something. What is in the project file? I think it's a 010, if I remember right. Do I have I have to have the number in here somewhere. Package ID version. Oh, it's in the oh, that's right. It's in the go up to the props file. There we go. Yeah, 010. Okay, so it was this idea where it basically automatically creates deconstruct methods for you based on the definition of the type. Fair enough. Somebody said there's an issue that if you're inheriting, the code doesn't actually pick up any of the properties that have been defined in base classes. So that's what I'm going to be addressing tonight and see if I can get that to work. All right. So first thing that I'm going to do is what you should always be. Well, first thing I'm going to do is create a branch. Let's not create too much code. So let's say branch, and I think the number here was the 1. Okay. So let's say 1 address property inheritance issue. Okay. So I'll make my branch. And so now what I'm going to do is actually create a test to prove that this is actually a problem, because if it really is a problem, I'm not saying it isn't, but let's just make sure that it is a problem. And then if we show that the test does fail, then when we fix it, we can run the test and show that it passes. So, one of the standard things you should do in your testing is every time somebody comes in with a bug or somebody says, hey, this doesn't work, try to write a test that demonstrates that it fails. Because then when you go in, you think you fixed it, now that test should actually pass. Yeah. So let's put in a simple test. And let's do it in this one. And we'll put it all the way at the bottom. just because I don't know why. We just will. So we'll do the classic copy and paste thing. And we'll say here, generate, and what do I want to call this? Naming is hard. Naming is hard. Generate when properties properties exist in inheritance hierarchy. Good enough as anyone. Okay, so what do we have here? I grabbed the wrong thing. What I probably should have done is grab something that's very, very simple here. Something like this. Okay. And then we will do this. By the way, this reminds me, I'm seeing where I'm doing all this code here, and this is what I'm going to do in free code session, is start to demonstrate some of the features that may possibly probably be in C# 11. It was funny. I noticed that the latest versions of the source code for .NET that are targeting .NET 7 are already using some of these features. So it's kind of funny. Let's go here and let's go to this great site, sharplab.io. And let's use the, where is that? Raw string literals. Okay. And sometimes this is a little slow, but let's just start typing and see if it actually ends up catching up. So the interesting thing is you're going to be able to do like var data is equal to, this is my data, and something like that. And it did. And it should eventually compile. So it's basically, you can do this triple quote thing and then put in anything you want inside of it. And it's a very easy way to do things like JSON or XML, or what I would like to use this for is C# code. So you can put it into like a string, and it's just a literal string. Once this actually compiles, what you should see is what this actually looks like in NIL. If it would actually ever do that. Refresh the page, turn it off and on again. Hopefully that will actually work. Or not. This is one, I love sharplab.io. It's really, really cool. Well, yeah, I know it's assigned to you, but it's never used. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't return data.length. It's a really cool site that you can go into and play with code, and you can actually pick these new branches and stuff like that and try out new features that are already kind of like in flight and being used. But also, I'd love to see this get even more love. And one thing here too, you can't, like, there's a split screen here. You can't pull this to one side or the other. It's just like, I'd love to see this get more love. It has, like, I don't think it used to a long time ago have IntelliSense, and now if I do like L here, you get length. So at least you got that. There you go. Whatever. Notice the string here. It's just a string that has the returns in it. So that's kind of cool. I like that. And so that's when I was writing, copying, pasting this code. That's what came to my mind, is this new feature in C# that's probably going to be there, hopefully. Kind of a cool one. I like it. All right. So we need like see, now this is going to be interesting too, because there's going to be two definitions here in the code. And so I'm kind of wondering if what it's going to end up doing is actually having two things here. So we're going to find out, aren't we? Let's put in base test here. Base test, and then we're going to have test here, and that derives from base test. Of course, now we need correct code here. So we want to have something like the base can have the ID. Let's just change this to being an int, because reasons, why not? And then this one will be like name, doesn't matter. So we are definitely the intent of what we really want is the test one to show that it has both. Now I don't know what order it's going to come in either, but have a string int ID and a out string name. Okay. And then what we should see here is something like ID name is equal to self ID self name, like that. I think. Oh, yeah. Except this goes on the next line. It's indented over. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that should be fine. But this is the generated test code. Okay. What I also think is going to end up happening is we're going to have a var generated base test code. Why are you barking about that? Oh, yeah, I almost swore, which would have been fine, but and test space is fine, and we want base test, and this is going to be base test, and now we'll just have the int here. You can do that, and then it won't be a tuple; it will be just equals that, and done. Okay. Excuse me. What we should see here is base test, and that's going to be generated test code. Okay. Except no, we want it to be like that, and then that is like that. And then yeah, okay. There we go. Okay, now this is going to fail. Jeez. Harsh throat tonight. This will fail. I'm hoping will fail is this one should be actually good. This one should be missing the ID according to the test or according to the issue. So let's run it and let's see what actually is happening. And give it a moment. Just take your sweet old time, Test Explorer. Nobody's watching. Nobody's paying attention. Okay, so it failed as expected. Let's just see how it failed. Yeah, so the test auto deconstruct didn't match, and the reason it didn't match is because it doesn't find the ID. It just thinks that it should be just name. Okay, this is what we expected, and this is what was actually there. Okay. Notice though, it did not complain about the base test one. So that actually, it did create two, and that was actually fine. Okay, so we've kind of sussed out that yes, this is a failure and we need to fix this. Okay, so let's go into our code. And builder. We have already gotten the properties at this point. So we need to actually go into the generator, I think, and say, well, how do we get, oh yeah, all the accessible properties now for each type and type. So what we actually want to do here is say, once for that type, the accessible properties is not just on that type. We need to keep going up the tree and adding in the accessible properties as we go along. Okay. So this is the accessible properties, and we basically said, well, it's one shot, so we could just do it here. I think what we want to do is say var accessible properties is equal to a. Now this is, I always get this screwed up. We want an immutable array of, what is this here? iProperty symbol. Symbol. And we want a builder, right? A writable array accessor that can be converted. I think I want to say here immutable array create builder of that. Yeah, I think that's what I want, right? Yes. Okay. Because we want to just keep adding to this, and once we're done with it, then we'll turn it into an actual mutable array. Now it's mutable, so we can set it up, and then we can actually get it to be immutable. So now we want to say is var target type is equal to type, while target type is not null. We're going to loop around, and then we're going to say target. I swear the indentation and formatting just stinks. I don't know why it's so bad. We're going to say target type. Thank you, IntelliSense. So I'm sad and happy at the same time. Go figure. I'm sad about the formatting. I'm happy about IntelliCode. All right. So what we want to say here, probably like this. We want to say accessible properties dot add that. It should be, well, not type. We want target type now. That's the first thing we want. Move that over. Now, why are you barking? Make sure we got our, yeah, okay. Not convert from enumerable. No, we want to say add range. There. And it's just that simple. In all honesty, I'm thinking, I shouldn't say in all honesty. I was actually talking to my team lead today, and because I was saying, I said something, and I said to her, in all honesty, and I went, I got to stop saying that, because I feel like when you're saying in all honesty, that means that what you were saying before wasn't being as honest or something. So I know I'm being really picky, but I'm trying not to keep saying that when I do. So I do think, though, that this is going to be enough. I think this should actually fix it. Now, the thing is here, okay, so what we want this to be is actually a builder. And then we'll say builder here. And then we'll say var accessible properties is equal to the builder to immutable. And it should just be an immutable array. Now it should work. Okay. What do you think who thinks that? I don't know how many people are watching. I think all of them will pass now. Let's see. Okay, one still failed. Why is there still striker output showing up in this? Go away. Should not be there. Okay. So which one failed? Is it still the same one? See, this is overconfidence. Oh, it's in the wrong order. It's in the wrong order. Well, so it mostly worked. They're flipped around. So, well, that's encouraging. Means we're really, really close. So the ID is on the base and the names. I mean, it doesn't really matter what order they're in, because again, a deconstruct is only about like I was talking about this before, I think when in my free code session videos, a deconstruct is really only about the number parameters. You don't really get into overloading. Like if you have two deconstructs where the number of outs is equal to 5 each, and they just differ by their types and they're overloaded, you can't actually do that. I think you get a compiler error. So this is purely about the number. So this basically says you're going to see them in the order from the most specific to the most basic. Now, is that okay? I mean, does it really matter? Is there some aesthetic what looks better here. I mean, you could almost argue and say, well, the ones from test should be first, and then we're also, those are the ones from the base. I can easily convince myself that right now that is the right thing to do because I'm lazy. See what this does now. But also, I mean, it kind of makes sense. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And it still failed. They have like tabs off or something. Oh my God. One off there. My goodness. I don't know. Do I like this? I mean, so what could I do to potentially fix this? I don't want to, I don't want to go up and then go back down again and put them in that order. Because I actually have to go up the, like, okay, so let's think about this. If I really wanted to put them in, not like an order per se, but because the members of the type here, I think you just get them in the way that they were defined in the class file itself, I believe. Does that really matter? Do you care? I don't know. Could somebody look at it and go, why is string first and ID second or something like that? I would expect the ID to be first. Who really gives a crap? Does that really matter? I'm probably overthinking this massively, but that's just me. That's how I do things. But the reason I'm even getting stuck on this is because it does bother me a little bit. I think I really do want the properties going from the top to the bottom. But it really doesn't matter. But yet it does because I'm thinking too much about it. The good thing is it works. So I come into here and I say, run the tests. Now all should pass. Okay. So we know we've got that fixed. Why are you still saying one? Oh, it's because I didn't go back in and I didn't change the removing the one space. Now they should all pass, right? And they do. Okay, so at least we got that. So let's stop being too picky and including all properties from inheritance hierarchy. And I think I was just seeing it this way because, like, if I go up to one like, there's one like this, and let's just forget the deconstructors here, because I see it in this order. That's the order I would like expect to be, but there's nothing to stop you from doing it. So I'm almost sitting here going, I think this actually fixes it. I think we're good. So I'm perfectly happy saying that's fine. So now this should show up there. Yep. And I could have made a PR and go into but it's my own repository, so I'll just merge it in. That would be perfectly fine. So, but no, that's in the branch. I have to merge it in. Okay, so let's do that. I like actually using and I like using the tools here. I know people are sometimes very, 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 very much, you got to be on the command line. And I don't know, I like this. I don't know why. Before I commit this, is there anything else that I think I would need to do? I don't think so. I think you don't have to worry about interfaces in the inheritance hierarchy because this is a class. The one thing I thought of too is, do I care if the class is abstract or not to make a deconstruct with it? I mean, that's not this issue per se, but would that matter? Probably not I don't think if it was abstract, it's like, that's fine if you make one there. The one thing though I also thought of is the naming of the file. If you have like a type with the same name in two different namespaces, is the file name going to be similar? I don't want to address that tonight because I think that's also an issue that I have in a bunch of other source generators I have, is the naming of the file, is to actually put out the whole type name. And that would probably be unique enough in the cases that you have there. So to that point, I think what I'm going to do is actually come into my own issues here and investigate file name collisions. I'd also have to do this on other projects as well. So if I have two types with the same name, but in different namespaces, do I end up creating two file names? And I know they're not files, but they end up looking like a file. That the same. Is that an issue with source generators? I believe it is. So see if this is a problem. Need to see what happens. Fix is probably just including the whole namespace with the type name. And I know the type name is the namespace. What's the name? That's the full name. I get it. And change periods to underscores. So that'd probably be just as easy. Okay, but let's go back to the first one here, because I think I fixed this now. And I'm not going to push out to NuGet on the stream, but I will do that like either later tonight or tomorrow morning. So let's go back here and let's say checkout. And then here, merge that into main. Yep, that works good for me. And so now main, need to push. You know, somebody's like, you could just do this like command, done. I'm like, you're probably right, but you know, I know what I'm sort of kind of doing here. I was thinking, I don't know, was this sometime earlier this week or maybe even last week, I tweeted out something like, I can't imagine not using Git for source control anymore. I just, you know, with what I do for work, I'm working on, I'm working on an issue and you know, I'm in a branch and then somebody else has submitted a PR. So I want to look at that. And then I need to switch to another branch on my machine to do something else. And I can go over there and do that. And I'll switch back to this. And it just, you know, it works. And I could trying to do that without that. I used to loathe branching. I used to absolutely loathe branching in source control systems because it sucked. Git was, to me, the first one that actually made it work right, or made it work so that it made sense. And I think that was the biggest appeal to me. You know, it took some time for me to realize that, but I'm like, yeah, that's what I really like about it. It was interesting too, with like something like data binding in UI applications. I used to hate data binding because it was typeless, it sucked, it was never done well. And of all things, XAML is actually what got me interested in using binding in a UI application, because that was the first time I saw it actually being done well. So for what it's worth. Okay, so we got that done. This should be up here now. Oh, yeah. Let's see there. Okay, so let's go back here. We should see that we're main. We can now go back to here and say that's deleted. And we can delete from the remote because I just like to. and we should be good. That's done. Yep. First bug fixed in AutoDeconstruct. There we go. All right. So close that issue. And I'll probably make the version number, like change it to 02 or something like that. I don't know, but that's fine. Okay. So that one's fixed. All right. Now this next one, what is it? 35. Yeah, we got time. We can only at least start it. That's fine. I'll let let's load it up first here. Okay. So this is a project that I have called Transpire, and it has a bunch of analyzers and code fixes in there. I really kind of use this for when I do a talk on analyzers. I now use this a lot when I'm demonstrating things, but it's also good just to put in new ideas and see what I can come up with. So I have this I found it funny. Other people may not find it funny, but I found it funny. So there's some other ideas I have here for putting in other types of analyzers. So I got this one, method parameter count. Okay. So here's this article that I saw earlier this week where somebody decided to figure out what's the maximum number of arguments that C# can have. So, and it's like, first thing, it's a silly question. I'm like, yeah, but it's not about trying to achieve it. It's just trying to figure out what is the limit. And basically what he came up with is the compiler will let you compile a method with up to 65,000. That's like 2 to the whatever. So yeah, it's got to be some power of 2. So about 65,000 arguments. If you have a method with 65,000 arguments, you have serious issues, to say the least. The interesting thing he found out, though, was that the runtime only lets you go up to 8,192. So what he said is, as he found out, if you go over the first limit, you'll get a compilation error that says some argument out of range exception. Okay. But to call the method, you'll actually get an invalid program exception, a common language runtime detected, and an invalid program. So that's funny. So he found out that the limit was 8,192. Okay. I cringe at the thought of maintaining that. And I was talking to some of my team members this week about it because I mentioned the article and because I thought it was fun, but also interesting. And, somebody responded with, if I see a method with more than 4 arguments or 4 parameters, I start. And the parameters, if you're inside the method, those are the parameters. If you're calling a method, those are arguments. But he's like, if I see one with more than 4, he goes, I start to twitch a little bit, or something to that effect. And I agree, because I'm like, if I see if a method starts getting more and more and more arguments, even generics too, I think there you go. What's the limit on generics? He didn't talk about that here, but what's the most generics? Maybe he has talked about that. I don't know. But that just made me think. Maybe we can find out what the maximum is for generic parameters. Well, that'd be kind of cool. Because he didn't do that. I could maybe write a program real quick to do what he did to see what's the limit as to how many generic parameters you should have. I've seen designs where people have created like a class with like 17 generic parameters, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, hopefully one, that wasn't me, and 2, just seriously, like that's just as bad. And in some ways, even far worse, I think. I couldn't imagine trying to, maintain that. So maybe we'll include that too. So the thing I wanted to do with this analyzer is just say, hey, let's create an analyzer that, if I come back here, does something like, okay, if you have over 4, it's just going to give you a suggestion. It's not even going to be a warning. That's going to be its default severity level. Let's just say, give you some messages, say, consider having a method that has less than 5 or however I word it. Okay. If you go over 16, or maybe I'll make it 8, I don't know. It'll actually give you a warning and say, "Okay, pal, you're you're really not doing yourself a favor. Figure out a better way," or something like that. And then if you actually do hit the 8,100, because you'll be able to compile that, Roslyn will be able to handle like 8,193, but that wouldn't be executable. The CLR wouldn't handle it. Then that would definitely be an error, and we'll say, you know, here be dragons. You're not gonna, you really don't want to do this anyway. So this is a little bit tongue in cheek and funny, but I also think there is a point that it's like, yeah, you probably don't want to have that many parameters. And then I also thought maybe this could be configurable. Like in some way, I start now having a way to load an additional file, or like a configuration file for the analyzer or the analyzers. I don't know if that's a like how I've never had to actually had to handle configuration with an analyzer. So that'd be a reason I want to do this, is just to see like what's the best or a good way to do that. So you could say, um, what's the suggestion limit? Like if you go over that, then it's a suggestion. And then what's the warning limit? There's no error limit. Well, I guess you could say there's an error limit, but if you give me an error limit of over A192, I'd actually tell you that's an error because you can't go over that or something like that. But maybe you want to make the suggestion is 4, the warning is 8, and the error is 16 or something like that. You don't even want to do that. But these would be like the defaults. So that's what I want to create. I definitely know I'm not going to be able to get through all this, but I think why not? Let's give this a whirl. Let's give this a try. So this is 15 method parameter count guidance. Okay. Why? I'm not going to change this here. Why is there why does it stop there? Why? I don't get it. Tabbing here is just horrendous. It's awful. I don't know. Okay, so let's go into a new branch. What did I say I was going to call it? The parameter count guidance. The parameter count guidance. There you go. Yep. And so we want to have and this isn't going to be a code fix. I'm not going to try to code fix this. I mean, this is just going to be an analyzer. There's not going to be a code fix. So should we call this like method? Should we have one for the method parameters and then have one for like the generic method parameters, something like that? Method parameter count analyzer. Yes, let's do that. So let's see here. Method parameter count analyzer. There we go. And we're going to do a whole bunch of copying and pasting, because that is the way to code it. Wait, did I? Oh my God. Pay attention, Jason. Pay attention. This should actually be up in here. Okay, and then we want to delete that because we should have it up here. And now it's not tests. It's actually, okay. Caught that. Would have caught that. Would have got it. Let's just copy stuff. I want that. People, places, things. Okay. That public sealed. Yeah, I know. You don't know what that is. I'll get to you in a minute. Sounds so enthusiastic. There you go. There you go. And we're going to want a rule. It's not going to be remove descriptor. Okay. So we're going to want just to hold the pattern of what I'm doing in the code here. We're going to have the parameter count. And it should be a public static class. Yes. Except I want you to be that, please. Let's just kind of copy all this. Now, this is the one problem I have with my approach is that I don't know exactly what the highest number is. So we could do like this. Oh no, I want to not match whole word. There we go. The 4, 2, 3, 1, 5, and then 10. So it looks like we got up to 10. So we want to be 11 here. And Sam. Okay, this is ooh. Yeah, I haven't hit this case before. This is the yeah. It's okay. Okay. This is the suggestion. For right now, I'm just going to say 416 and then that high number. I don't really want to get into a whole bunch of issues there. So we'll just say this is info. Okay. Info descriptor. That works. I could probably generalize this a little bit better later on, but that's fine. So the message is consider defining this method with for this parameters. Title. I think the title actually matters to a certain degree in terms of being unique. I think, as odd as it sounds, I'm not sure. It may if you're doing like code fixes, so it's not just a number, it's also a title. I can't remember. What do I want for a title? I found when I do streaming that actually naming stuff is like the hardest thing to do off the top of my head. Method. Sure. Sure. That's fine. Now we'll do the warning. And this should be 12. Methods, method parameter count should be equal to or less than 16. And then the error is going to be I forgot to change this. And then it'll be 13. Methods should not have more than 8,120. What was it? I already forgot. What was it? 8,192. Because yes, 8,182 parameters. That's just ridiculous. that's just, that's a word for it. Ridiculous. Yes. Absolutely insane. Okay, so let's come back to our analyzer and we want to have like the info rule. That's the method. Ah, thank you. Nope. 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 There you go. It's like I knew it was some kind of control alt left right arrow to get the casing right. There you go. All right, so we have that. What else we need here? So so yeah, we don't need to do a dispatch proxy. Sorry. Oh my God, stop it. Oh, we need. Okay. Except what we really want is we could do an operation because that would probably be the easiest thing to, although it's not an operation, it's a definition. So if you're referencing a method, referencing about, so no, we can't actually use an operation. We actually need to be using syntax here, I think. We have a lot of register operation things, but we want a register syntax node action. I believe that's what we want here. We want a node context. Yeah. What does this give you in a node? Yeah. Okay. So that's so what we want here then, if we're kind of following this, is we want to say private static void analyze node context. This is a syntax analysis context. Context. There we go. And so what we're going to do here is none of this. We're just going to say all we do is no this. And then analyze no. And we do that, we do that. Why do I have that in a block? That would be just fine like this, right? Yeah. I think I got some code to clean up little things here and there. I just want to say to the compilation writer syntax node. Oh, so we are doing oh, okay. I'm being stupid. Okay. Yeah, it's late. See, that's the thing about doing this at night is my brain starts shutting down too late. I should probably have whiskey. Okay. So I was being a little stupid. Well, we want to pass. Okay. Stop being dumb. What we want to pass in here is method parameter count analyzer, analyze no context. That's except we only want it for the syntax kind of a method definition. Don't know what that is. I'm sorry, declaration. I always say the wrong thing. That's what we want. Okay. You barking that up here. Oh, you want the supported diagnostics? Well, who wouldn't, right? Except that info rule want okay, so we've got that. And now we just want to say analyze the method declaration. So now if I come up here, we can say var method is equal to method declaration syntax of node context.node. Yes. And we can just call this context. I agree. Okay, so we have a method. If method.parameter list, that's just the parameter list syntax. I need the parameters. If that count is that's greater than 8,182, I already got that memorized. Okay. Then we want to report this diagnostic. For all that is good in the world, why is your formatting so messed up? Except we want the error rule. Okay. Else. So we already know that we not over that. Now we want to say, are you over 16? This means let's do the warning rule. Else if over 4, we want to do the info rule. That's it. Bob's your uncle. That's all we need to do. Now, it is getting near an hour. Sometimes I've been streaming a little bit longer, but I actually am kind of tired. So I won't be able to finish all this, but let's see if I can just do like one test with this. I'm not going to do the 8,000 one because I mean, it would be simple because you just basically create like that article is showing is that you just basically create a string that's a join of all like 10,000 parameters and create that code. And let's see what happens with that. Maybe I will do that. Okay. So we'll put in here a new I thought I grabbed the name of this. Tests. There we go. Class. I don't want to, I've been following this where I have like the support diagnostics. I just want to get right to the heart of the matter, and that is this. Okay. Let's just say analyze when We'll do the first one. Method has no parameters. Okay. Pull that over. And we're going to say, yeah, we're going to do the verify up here, except we want to have namespace. That's correct. You don't know what that is. Now, method code analyzer. Why are you barking? Fine. Okay. That's perfectly fine. You have no errors here. Okay. So if I run this should actually succeed because we shouldn't have any errors. Right. Passes as expected. Okay, cool. Has more than info level parameter count. In this case, we're going to have public void my method and a 0 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, and that's the now this is going to be the whole method declaration, right? So is that going to basically be like all of this? So this might fail because I don't know if it's actually like the whole thing. Markup syntax. Oh yeah, that thing. How did I get around that? Because I did that with this one, I think. Yeah. Okay, so verify that. No. That. That. And that. That. And that. Okay, so now what we're doing here, I was just basically saying await new. Let's do the same thing. Wait a minute, what happens when you didn't have anything? That should be no. Okay. Oh. Okay, now in this case, what I want to do is say info descriptor. That's the one we want to see. Okay, so now this should run. I mean, it'll fail probably because I don't have the. Hopefully, it'll fail just because it doesn't know where to put the. Yeah, to end at column 62 is actually column 66. So it goes around this whole thing. I don't know if I really want that. I think I might just want it around the identifier. So if I said here method identifier, there, I think that makes a lot more sense. The whole definition. I could put it around the whole parameter list, but if the intent is that we get that long, then you have to have a squiggle go all the way underneath it as well if it'd be rendered. Good luck with Visual Studio trying to do that one, but yeah, I think this should be right now. It failed. Expected diagnostic start at column 14 was actually at column 2. Why is that? Oh, I didn't do it everywhere just yet. Now let's see what it does. And it passes. Yay. Let's do the level. This is where I want to generalize. Yes, I do. Yeah. I want to have private static analyzer. Analyze with specified parameter count. Int count. This is also where we want to have a diagnostic descriptor come in, but it might be null. Okay. So what we want to have here is var parameters is equal to string.join. Join on the this. How did he copy that? So we're just going to do that. Oh, well, shut my mouth. Select. Int a of using X. We have this. There you go. That's that's the whole parameter list. Okay. And then the code here, we're going to have to, yeah, now we have to be a little bit more like that, except here, you can just put in parameters. And then that, and then that. Okay. And then this will either be null or it won't be. Okay. So we can also use that for this first one. Has acceptable parameter count. I like that. It was bothering me by saying none or one or whatever. We know that this is actually okay. So we want to do this here. Say 0, no. No, why did you? Don't do that. Don't take the. No, you don't have to do this. I get it with the whole synchronization context, blah, 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 but I want to. Okay. So now what we could do is this. So this will be the count. There. We don't have to do this either. This has to be like 6. Oh, yeah. Almost missed that. Our method name equal to, if the parameter count is less than or equal to 4, which is our minimum, then it should just be my method. Otherwise, that's where the error is going to be. My method. So now we'll pass. Oh no, you need the. That's right. You need the question mark. I did that wrong. So this is actually what's going to be passed in here. There. Okay. And then this is one has the new level. So this will be like 18. That's fine. So it's not. And now this made this one easy. And error level 10,000. Anything's going to happen. I do like generalizing it like this. It was actually, not to pat myself on the back, but I'm kind of glad I did that. Let's see what happens. Four pass, 0 failed. So what's interesting too is that this actually was able to compile. And I mean, that was fairly quick too. I mean, yes, it's 4.9 seconds, but it wasn't that brutally long either, but don't do this. Really, really, really don't do this. But I kind of like this. I kind of like that I was able to generalize it a little bit. Also, if you did or did not have a descriptor, we already knew how to handle multiple rules or descriptors for an analyzer. And so we could just copy and paste that in as well. I might actually generalize this so that I can do this for, yeah, let's just do that. I think because we're now using it twice. This is right. So what we want here is a new class called verify analyzer with multiple descriptors test. And this will purely be I want to keep that. Tail class. This is going to be a T analyzer. And this derives from C#. T analyzer. working at. Yes, where T analyzer derives from uh, uh, um, uh, diagnostic analyzer. Thank you. Diagnostic analyzer. Of course it is. It needs to be a new. There. Now, instead of defining this all over the place, we know we needed it in verify dispatch proxy. So we can get rid of this here. Now come up here and I'm a little bit too fast. Yeah, this is verified dispatch proxy generated. Okay, okay. That's what I want. A little wordy. I admit that's a little wordy. I could do a using. Could do a using. Something like using verify is equal to that. And then just say await new verify. And that's much freaking better. Much. Yes, yeah, that I'm grooving on a lot more. Okay, so because I'm a neat freak, gotta have everything like this. Okay, I'm gonna stop soon. Yeah, really am. And then that, come on, color code. Notice the pattern that I'm doing here. There. Okay, so that takes care of that. And then there was some stuff up here that we could get rid of. Perfect. Now we can come over to I just had it. Why is that up in it? How did that get put up into extensions? That's not right. Because that's not right. But verify this with that. Now we don't need this private class anymore. And we don't need a whole bunch of stuff here either. This generalization is a decent thing. Let's run the tests here. They all pass. They all pass. Nice. So I still want to add in at least a scenario. I don't want to do the error one though. and I still also want to look at doing a configuration for this as well. So let's commit this. This is 15. Got the analyzer working. Plus tests. And I think for tonight, that is it. So thank you all for attending. Those that did, I know Digital Drummer did, but anybody else that may have been watching that didn't see, thanks again for watching. The whole like and subscribe thing, would really appreciate that. If you have any questions, just hit me up on Twitter with a message there, or put it into the comments of the video, which would definitely work for YouTube, as that's what I use for primarily archiving the videos. So that's all for tonight. I don't know if I'm going to start my twice a week schedule up just yet. I may do that this Monday. I may start actually doing that, or I may wait until April. We'll see. We'll see how the spirit moves. But I am definitely going to be doing more streaming in the future and getting a little bit more organized with the branding and everything else. So wherever you are, have either good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is. And I will see you all in the future. Take care.